We have a dynamic father-son team today who are well known globally as well in Indian real estate industry for their entrepreneurial journey, for the landmark projects that they have delivered, and for their ability to think outside the box and execute when it comes to addressing the need gap in Indian real estate industry. These two have become icons in their own right, and I'm truly honored to have them together on Let's Talk Business 2.0. We welcome Mr. Jitu Virwani and Aditya Virwani.
I actually kind of joined him around 1986. I decided to start a company on my own, of course, along with my family members. And that's where the journey started. I was allowed to use the same brand name.
Thanks for having us, Kritika.
Thank you. So, Jitu sir, everyone is interested to know, especially our viewers, like Embassy Group commenced in 1993. How that journey has happened for you? How did you stumble upon this real estate sector, and why did you choose this particular sector?
I was born in a family which was in the construction business. So honestly, my father is the one who started, was operating in Bombay, Pune, and moved to Bangalore. So the brand Embassy, the name Embassy, was started by my father and his partner. And I actually kind of joined him around 1986, doing license work for the company. But slowly towards 93, my father and his partner split. So, and I decided to start a company on my own, of course, along with my family members. And that's where the journey started. I was allowed to use the same brand name. And September 93, somewhere, I started on my own, put my own team together, and kind of changed the way my father was working. My father had brought in all these Gujarati contractors from Bombay and doing labor contracts, and I came around to, being built on a turnkey basis and project managed. So that's where exactly our journey started together.
So, sir, we have seen earlier during that time, a lot of realtors face problems in terms of scalability, also in terms of expansion. Were there any challenges that you faced in particular? And also, I want to know that when the brand was building, at what point of time do you realize this venture of yours has become like a larger phenomenon?
So actually, I must say that my father built a very solid foundation with good reputation. So the brand already had a good name behind it, and I just brought a little bit of my own youth into it, much younger people into the organization, and we designed buildings more differently than my father was designing. And honestly, there was not many challenges because we did quite well. We just had a good product, and like they say, location is key thing in real estate. So we had somehow or the other, I managed to get some properties in good location. Though there was something like out of the box. In September '93, when my first project was actually a commercial project where we still have an office called Embassy Point, and a lot of people said that you can't get an auto there. Who will take commercial space? And my father was building office space in terms of 500 square feet with attached toilet, which is built in Bombay, in Nariman Point, all over the place. And I actually built, just 4 offices, 11,264 square feet each, and tried to sell it with a large amount of power in it. Looking at technology companies would be interested in taking much larger space than sticking to 2,000 or 500 square feet spaces. And I was quite lucky. I had Oracle as my first customer, and Oracle actually started from that building, and they ended up taking 2 floors eventually. So that actually kickstart, and then by experiencing Oracle, I realized that a lot of companies who lost out on the space, like companies like Verifone, Wipro, and I realized that they had requirements of much larger space. So the whole idea was to then efficiently put much larger floor plates. And then we looked at this model of 25,000 square feet in Embassy Icon, and that became a success with Hewlett Packard coming in. And then we moved to Golf Links, which was like a 50,000 square feet plate. So it just actually evolved over the time. As a company, Embassy was known to make luxury apartments. So way back, it built apartments which were like 3,500 square feet, 4,000 square feet. And there was a lot of success because we brought in marble flooring into the residential space. So I think it was the eye for quality was the main thing to start with, and then always looking at the customer, what the customer wants. And I think that's how we do the business. And Golf Link was the turning point where the whole theory of business parks in India started.
Yeah.
I mean, DLF was building office buildings in Gurgaon and different locations, but not all collectively in one place. So, luckily I partnered with Mr. George, who had just 5 acres of land at that point of time, and convinced him that instead of being my joint venture partner, he would become a partner. And we sell the building and use the money to buy more land, and that's actually how the whole dream of Golf Link, which was 60 acres today,
Yeah.
came about. And that's where the starting point where people started putting office buildings in one area. And we realized the depth of the demand as far as commercial was concerned.
Mm.
And it just grew. So at that point, 60 acres, we designed a sports club, row houses. I mean, I also never envisaged that the take-up would be so fast. And that was the turning point to change the whole decision in Embassy to build more office space than residential, because it was quick turnaround. We were those days building buildings in 7 months, 8 months, 250,000 square feet each building. And it was like a herd mentality. Once we had, first tenant over there was ANZ, and then Microsoft came in, IBM came in, and it just, Fidelity came in, Goldman Sachs. So it just became a destination for office space. And because we had this format of large space, independent building of 250,000, which not many developers were doing.
Yeah.
And also at that point of time, a lot of developers were selling the space. Either they were strata selling to 10, 20 investors in one floor. But somehow we decided that our math said that it was better to retain the space and get into long-term leasing model. And our bank, HDFC, and Mr. Parekh, chairman of HDFC, really supported us. And we had money available from the bank, and we were getting tenants. As you know, bankers want to know that the money is deployed in the right place. And at that point of time, interest rates were 8%. So for us, it was better suited to rent out. Actually, we were getting per square feet, discount your rental. We were getting pretty much 80% of the money from the banks versus what I would sell.
Okay.
So just for 20% short of cash flow, it made more sense to take the debt, and after 7 years the building would be paid off.
Paid off. Sure.
And but that time also was the point is that debt was a bad word, and taking 200, 300, 400 crore debt in society was not really the apt thing, because developers normally sold and never kept so much debt on their books. So I know that every party I would go to, a lot of people ask me, how do you sleep in the night? You have so much debt. My mother would tell me, people tell me that you have so much debt, and I used to come back to my office and say, because the way we looked at it, the debt was on IBM or Microsoft. It was their ability to pay the rent.
Yeah.
And I think that changed the game. So we went ahead of the game and we retained so much space.
True.
And because our costs were low and we were getting more money from the bank, we were able to use the bank's money to buy more land. And then some Manyata came. And then it was like no looking back, and it became like a way of life. And in fact, we would spend, I'd been to the construction site at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. I had my project management company, which was angel funded by us called Synergy. Now it's Colliers. They were engineers who are quite senior now in the company. They were actually sleeping on the carpet in the night. And by the time the guy put the carpet, the workstations would come in, everything would come in together. And in 7 months, 8 months, we were churning out these buildings. So that timing of it, and changing the whole concept of using how projects are managed versus what was done during my dad's time.
Yeah.
Because when I used to sit on my construction site during my dad's time and told those Gujarati contractors that why can't you work here, why can't you do this, and he would say like, kid, you don't know nothing, but I need to do the construction in X manner. And then when I was running the company myself, and I forced contractors to implement it my way, and it changed the whole concept. In fact, I still remember the whole team of Unitech came down from Delhi to find out that what were we doing different than they would do. But actually, the concept of the slab opening in 9 to 11 days is that nothing changed.
Yeah.
It's just that we project managed the project together. We started putting aluminum from down, and we just went way ahead. And then suddenly people realized that the renting game and taking this debt wasn't so bad. And then I think everybody started also looking into the same model. but I think we were just much ahead of the game at that point in time. But so actually, that sacrificed our residential because there's only so much you can do. So
Yeah.
we actually did look at the residential. There was more money here. It was doing well, and I still remember Shobha JC Sharma one day told me that you left the residential space, and we got an opportunity to grow in that. But now with our merger on the cards, and we're looking back, I would like to apologize to some of my colleagues that we're going to actually come back in the residential.
Yeah.
It's like a 50-50 balance, so I think it's time for everybody to watch residential space growth as much as our commercial together.
So how old were you when you joined your father's business?
I was 19, 20. I was studying in Christ College. We actually grew up in Bombay. My father moved here. So, college in Bangalore was unlike Bombay, which is like 7 to 12. Here it was like 9:30 to 4 o'clock,
Yeah.
like school timing. And there wasn't much, so I would actually come to the construction site. Not my father didn't really like that idea. So, but I think pretty much from my first year BCom, I was quite entrenched in the business, and I think I did I had the right beginning because my father actually put me on the side, took out consumption of cement bags, make sure that all the slabs were vibrated well, then go to the corporate government office to get the files cleared. So I got a mix of everything, and so that worked actually well in the long run for me to grow the business. And then when Karan and Aditya came in the business, I wanted them to go through the same grind, which was to sit at the site and work under my project management company. And I have to give credit to my lawyer Anupsha, who actually told me that, he said, you would be an idiot doing all this, and times have changed, so you bring them and make them shadow work with you.
Yeah.
So we experimented on that, and I know a lot of my friends and colleagues are experimenting the same thing. So with Karan, I made him shadow work for 2 years. So pretty much just sitting and listening, not contributing, not allowed to give any comments. They were only allowed to ask questions when we left for home and understand because in India doing business, especially real estate, is very complex.
Yeah.
There are landowners, there are investors, and there are so many people and sometimes people walk into your cabin and they leave your cabin and it looks to the person sitting next to me that I trust the guy a lot, but actually don't trust the guy. So these are things that are difficult to teach them because they studied abroad and they came back. So that actually paid off well with Karan and similarly with Aditya. I think that was the best thing that happened to both of them, and I think, like I said, it's all credit goes to Anupsha.
So Aditya, when you saw Mr. Jitu sir's entrepreneurial journey while growing up especially, what were the key learnings you took upon, like in a larger manner? Of course, you sir mentioned that you have shadowed him, but I'm sure while growing up you must have seen your father's journey. So during that time, what were the key points that you took away?
The main key point I took away and still do take away is the optimism, which is in a way infectious to the rest of the organization, and how he looks at problem solving, how he looks at the business. I mean, we all are very bullish on the macros of the business. We know that office space is going to grow. We know residential is going to grow in a growing country like India, and we want to do things in that space. But approaching each problem, and then in this industry, you don't know how many spanners are thrown at you constantly. But to be able to be calm, to be able to be positive, on the back of your head, and keep tackling them one by one. And maybe, going down the right direction for now, you come back on track, again you go off track, but ultimately you'll get there. And I think that is the biggest learning I would take from him is keep believing in yourself, keep being positive, and if you're positive, then the rest of the team is also going to be in that same attitude.
That's great to know, but you realize that when Sir journey started, it was very unorganized sector, right? And now we are seeing it turning into organized sector. So when you entered in this field, did you see any kind of challenge when you were dealing with Indian real estate market?
Yeah, and I still do. The things that I don't like about even his style of running the business, and he's self-made, he's built this business, so it's obviously proven. But I still think think that there are things that we can tweak and we can better. The business has changed a lot. Those days that Dad just mentioned about how he was doing small offices, strata selling it, HNI investors. Now today the whole landscape is different. You have large institutional investors. I mean, these guys are the biggest landowners in India, coming in $100 million checks. The whole dynamics of how to do a deal is so different. Like, you will very rarely see Embassy do one standalone building going forward. In the office space sector, we are into business parks, and we will bring in a private equity. We have a REIT structure that's very interesting and very unique to what other developers have. So the whole dynamics have changed, and that does change how you approach that. So I think Dad is also seeing some of those things and also learning as time goes by as well. So definitely the things that will continuously keep changing. My kids are going to say the same thing in an interview I do with my kids 20, 30 years down the line.